Good evening, guys. Everyone, welcome to the online tennis podcast with myself, Gavin, and my co-host.
It's me, Jack.
Yeah, for once we've sort of done the voices in the other way round because Jack is hungover and being all.
That's not why. That's not why I've been
I just want to be short of hosting as well. So here we go. Yeah.
Episode 29. Episode 29.
Episode 29.
Yes. Yeah.
29.
Got to say that. Yeah.
That's
it's not because I'm hungover. My brain is working fine. I am a little hungover, but that's besides the point. I just I haven't seen quite as much tennis as Gav this week, so he's willing to take the reins. So we should be fine in his hands.
The avid ATP 250 fanboy.
Yes, exactly. Sort of poster boy.
Poster boy for the 250 tour. Yeah. But,
what have we got? What 250s are we covering, Gav?
We've got 3 ATP 250s this week, the more the merrier. So we've got Pune, we've got Montpellier, and we've got Cordoba. So we will cover that, as well as Del Potro announcement and Andy Murray's announcement as well, over the fact that he's going to prioritise Wimbledon over Roland Garros. So we're going to start off with the big story of the week, which was Juan Martin Del Potro's retirement announcement last night at a press conference. Sort of came out of the blue. Very sad news. Obviously a great player for so many years. Big staple of my tennis watching growing up. And what did you think? Did we expect that announcement? Did you think it was going to happen? Or were you sort of shocked like I was?
I was mega shocked. One of the things he'd been saying up to the announcement, just kept seeing it everywhere. It was like, never give up in your dreams, man. Like, and if kids want to take inspiration from me, I'd be so proud, because I want to be the guy who inspires them to never give up in what you want to do. And then it's like a few days later, he's done. I could not have seen that coming ever, because I just thought he's going to be on tour.
Yeah, there was so much positivity, wasn't there, during the week, that when he announced his comeback, everyone was like, oh yes, he's going to come back. This is going to be the beginning of an Andy Murray style journey, and we're going to all have great time throughout the year following how he gets on.
Guy, everybody universally across the world, I think, loves Del Potro. I don't know any tennis fan who doesn't love Del Potro. He's like one of those, he's like Monfils. Can't think of anybody else. Monfils, Del Potro, at least. Not even Federer. Some people don't like Federer, definitely.
Yeah,
I think those two players, though, everybody loves Monfils and Del Potro. So really, really sad news.
Yeah, devastating, obviously. And to sort of commemorate the Del Potro announcement, I've come up with a Del Potro quiz. And for once,
Gav's getting his own back.
Once I get to have my own back and sort of have my wee Richard Osman 10 minutes of fame. So I can even use the catchphrase of "How did you do at home?" To all the listeners. I'm looking forward to using that a lot. So
settled into the role.
Yeah, I've already settled in. I'm proper enjoying this now, actually. So anyway, we will start off with a Del Potro quiz. So it's 10 questions, okay? 10 questions.
Okay.
We've got bonus points for some in regards to match scores, whatever. So we're going to start.
It's getting edited. If I get 0, it's getting edited.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure you'll. There's a few gimmies. There's some ones related to Andy in there as well that I've sort of done to sort of help you out a wee bit. Yeah, we'll start off with question 1. So during his famous US Open win in 2009, Del Potro was best known for beating Rafael Nadal in the semi-finals, followed by Roger Federer in the final. But who did he beat in the quarterfinals?
Might need to take an L already. I think it's kind of a guess. Roddick rings a bell.
Not Roddick.
No. Okay. One more guess, but I think I've got it wrong. No, Bandian.
Wrong.
No, go
the
on.
answer, I can even give you a clue and you'll get it immediately. It's a favourite of the podcast. A favourite of this podcast.
Oh, Chilich.
Yes.
Chilich.
That's why you've got to include Baron whenever you can include Baron.
I like that level of question, Gav. That was good.
Yeah, I was sort of happy with myself there when I came up with that one. I thought that is a pretty good one. It's all going to go downhill from here, but it was a good start. It's all going to go downhill from now, actually. The second question is, Del Potro has won 22 singles titles in his career. How many of these are Grand Slams, Masters 1000, ATP 500, and ATP 250? So there's 4 points in offer here.
Oh, the full split.
Yeah, there's 4 points in offer, so it's 1 per level of tournament.
Right. So 1 and 1. I know he's won one Masters and 1 Slam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The 250 500 split is tough. I think he's got a fair share of 500s. Like he wins big titles.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe besides the very biggest ones, but he's won big titles in his career. I'm gonna say 9-11.
So 9 what?
9 500s, 11 250s.
Oh, damn, you've got it right. You've got it correct.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go, back in the game.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I thought this was maybe a 30-second let me think about it sort of question. Instead, it's been 3 seconds if I've nailed it. That sort of left me dumbfounded a wee bit.
I like that one. I like that get
dear.
there. That was good.
I thought I was going to actually get my own back here. I might not. Question number 3. Before winning Indian Wells in 2018, Del Potro had reached the final on one previous occasion. What year was this for the first point? Second point, who defeated him? And if you're a bonus point, I know you like your stats, what was the score of the match? 3 points in offer.
I'm struggling for the year here, but I'm pretty sure I'll get it in a second, maybe. But Rafa? No. Yeah, it was Rafa. And I think the score was definitely 3 sets. It was a very good match, actually, from what I remember. I might be struggling on the score though. I'm gonna say something like 6-3 Rafa middle set, or was he a set up?
Del Potro was a set up, no? Yeah.
It was a set up. So was it 6-4 in the first set?
Yeah, it was. Oh no. You just needed the final set. What was the score in the final set?
It went deep. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, did it? Was it 6?
Ooh, did it?
Nah, I can't get that. I think I'm gonna guess at 6-3.
You were 1 game out. 6-4.
God damn it!
Well, what was the year? What was the year?
The year I think it could have been 2009.
Nope. 2013.
No. 2013. Oh shit! I was way off. Yeah, I definitely did not remember.
Marginally got my own back there, but not quite. We've got time to make the ground up. So, question 4: aside from the gold medal match at Rio 2016, Murray and Del Potro have played in one ATP final. Which year? And what event was this? And there's also a bonus point for the correct score. So don't worry about the bonus point. I don't think you'll get the bonus point. But which year and which ATP event was it? It was a final of an ATP event.
It was a Masters. It was a Masters. And Andy won in straight sets.
Did he still?
I thought he did.
Did he?
Maybe I'm wrong. It was probably Miami or Cincinnati.
What do you think at home? What do you think at home?
I'm just gonna have to guess. I think it's 2009.
It is 2009.
And I think it's Miami.
Nope. Same letter of the alphabet. It was Montreal.
Montreal.
Yep. And who won?
Yeah. Andy.
Yes. And what was if you can try for the bonus point?
I think it was straight sets. I don't know if you're trying to prank me here.
Have I been bluffing? Well, I've not been bluffing. It was 6-7, 7-6, 6-1 to Andy. So very close sets, and
I knew there was tie breaks.
Yeah, not a very close set. Question 5. This is one that's doable. I think you're going to get this one as well. So Del Potro's come back from 2 sets to love down once in his Grand Slam career. What was the year, and who was the opponent?
It's tough when you're under the cosh.
It is. It's like Mastermind. It's like a really low budget version of Mastermind without the lights and the music.
Right, I'm ruling out Australia. I think I'm ruling out Wimbledon as well. Wait! I did that. Say the question again. Say the question again.
Del Potro came back from 2 sets to love down once in his Grand Slam career. What was the year?
In Grand Slam career. Yeah, okay. So I remembered one against Cilic, but that was not Grand Slam. Yeah, that was Davis Cup.
Marin wouldn't bottle it in the Grand Slam.
No, he wouldn't. Maybe it was recently. I think I'm casting my mind too far back. Maybe it was only 5 or so years ago, possibly.
I can remember watching a wee bit of it, specifically.
I got it. I did need to hum and haw for a long time, but I got it. It's team at the US Open.
Yes, it was team at the US Open. Well done. What was the round? But this isn't for a point, just to see if you know which round it was.
I think it was the 4th round.
It was, and he was 6-1, 6-2 down in the opening 2 sets before winning 6-1, 7-6, 6-4, and he saved match points.
I didn't say the year actually, did I? It was 2017.
It was 2017, and he saved match points in the 4th set as well. Coming back from 5-2 down. I remember that well because I was watching it sort of marginally hungover at 1 a.m. during Freshers Week.
Kind of thinking, what the hell am I watching right now? Probably one of the biggest comebacks of all time in terms of like lopsided first 2 sets.
Yeah, it was incredible. I think I started watching it in the 3rd set. And I thought, like, what the hell's going on with Delpo here? I mean, stunned. But no, great comeback that one was. One of the great matches of the US Open in recent times, I'd say. So
definitely.
Moving on to question 6, you're over halfway through the ordeal. So Del Potro's last ATP final came at the 2018 China Open. Who defeated him in the final?
I think Basilashvili.
It was Basilashvili. Well done. That was very well done, actually.
Yeah, good. I'm glad I grasped that from somewhere.
I was just quite out of nowhere. You just came up with it.
Rang a bell.
Wow. Number 7. This is an easy one. I was too kind to you in this one. Had mercy on you. Del Potro reached the final of the ATP Finals once in his career. What was the year and who was the opponent?
He only made it once.
The final. Okay. I'm talking about the final.
The final. Yeah, the final. Yeah, of course. 2009.
Yes, that's the year.
I think that. And I think it was Davydenko. I'll stick with Davydenko.
It was, yeah.
Yes.
3-6-4 in the final. And Del Potro played the first match at the O2. Interesting fact for you, against Murray in 2009. First ever singles match played at the O2. So, fun fact, which is totally useless. Yeah, I remember watching it quite well.
Yeah, no. Cool. Didn't know that.
Number 8. What is Del Potro's career high ranking, and in what year did he achieve this?
3.
Yes.
And 2018?
Yes, August 2018.
Nice.
Wow. You breezed through the last couple.
I know, yeah, I'm getting my mojo back of it.
But my most random question is still to come. But before the random question, the second last question is, what is Del Potro's well-known nickname?
The Tower of Tango.
Yeah, damn. Yeah. Far too kind to you here.
Yeah.
Far too kind. I've wasted my opportunity here.
No, I mean, there have been hard questions.
Still time for final question, which is possibly the one which I think is probably the most useless fact of information in tennis history.
I like this.
Juan Martin Del Potro and Andy Murray famously had an argument in Rome in 2008. Who was the chair umpire for the match?
I think kind of clutching at straws here, but it could be Fergus Murphy.
It was Fergus Murphy.
Oh, that's a good stretch. Happy with that. Yeah. I just remember him going, "I'll handle this, Andy."
Yeah, he did it. It was like, "Andy, let me handle it." Can't even do an accent, but it was quite funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done.
What do you know what it was out of?
I don't actually. I didn't.
Well, I think I was dropped 5 points. So wherever it's out of,
you did well.
You did 5 points.
You did well.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah. I need to get another quiz for you. I need to make it harder next week.
I think that's a good level. Obviously, our listeners need to get a few answers right to make themselves feel good too. So
yeah, I think
that's a good level. Oh, quickly before we move on, Gav, you've just said you've got that down. Do you want to quickly do a wee favourite Del Potro match?
Yes. So I'm just noticing that. Yeah. Favourite match and moment. What's your favourite Del Potro match?
My favourite Del Potro match might be him against Federer in Indian Wells in 2018.
You've nicked mine. Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same.
That's class.
It was
such a good match.
Saving the match point the way he did. And I guess it's
three match points.
Three match points, yeah. But I remember one in particular where he had the forehand winner.
Yes,
I remember.
Yeah.
That was
just held it for a second, I think. Is it the one maybe he passes him, or maybe it's a different one?
It was the passing shot one, yeah. With passing shot. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good.
And again, I think with Del Potro, everyone talks about the 2009 match, but you got to remember that 2018 was after he'd had so many injury problems.
Yeah, exactly. It was a massive deal. Like, for him to come back and do that.
It was. Beating Federer. The crowd obviously all rooting for Federer as well.
Honestly, a bit of an underrated comeback because he'd just done it so many times before. But seriously, the guy came back and got a career high ranking, number 3, made it to the final of US, won a Masters for the first time in his career.
Yep.
Mental.
Incredible. Yeah, that was my favourite moment and favourite match.
Maybe also just a bonus one. Mm-hmm. I really liked the Rome match he had against Djokovic.
Yeah, that was phenomenal as well.
Years ago?
Yeah.
2019 maybe?
2019 it was, yeah. It was Friday, quarter-final. I remember it well, randomly.
I loved that match. I loved it. I hadn't seen a good match in a while. I don't know why I hadn't. I just felt like that. And I remember thinking, this is re-inspiring me. It's absolutely amazing. So good.
Yeah.
He lost that match.
He did lose that match, but it was like one of those ones which he deserved to win it because he played that well. It was sort of...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like sort of similar to the Nadal one at Wimbledon actually in 2018. He played so well in that one, but
God,
get over the line. There's so many Del Potro ones, isn't there? So many great moments he's contributed to, and obviously we hope it's not the end for him, but it looks like it could be the end of his career, which is obviously
You know, if he wins the title, maybe.
But then he might. I was thinking about that earlier today, when I thought he might think that's the perfect way to go out. You know, winning the title, which I sort of hope not. But yeah, it's certainly a chance that could happen. So moving on from Del Potro, we're going to go to the first of our 3 ATP 250 events this week, and it was Pune. Obviously, it was without fans for the first part of the week, but then I think from the quarterfinals onwards, they allowed sort of small sections of the crowd to sort of filter back through. They're still having Omicron restrictions over there in India. Very interesting week. People were sort of talking about the start of the week, saying the lineup was not particularly strong in terms of ranking. Aslan Karatsev was the top seed. Musetti was the second seed. But other than that, there was not really any big names involved in the draw. So it was sort of maybe people perceived it as being a chance for Musetti to win his first ATP title, or Karatsev to build on his incredible title run in Sydney. Yeah, it was an interesting week. First of all, first point that we can talk about is Karatsev losing in the opening round to Elias Ymer, 7-6, 6-2. Karatsev did not start the match particularly well. 6-2, 7-6, sorry. Karatsev did not start the match particularly well, just did not look...
I saw, so I obviously still absorb information even when I've not seen matches, but I saw a lot of people say Karatsev played potentially the worst match of his career. Yeah. People were saying it seems harsh.
I think it was a bit hard.
For Ymer,
you've got to give Ymer credit. I mean, Ymer was playing some fantastic stuff. Really took advantage of Karatsev not being at his top level, but even if Karatsev was at his top level, I think Ymer would have given him a good match in that one. Yeah, Ymer was phenomenal from the back of the court. Karatsev made a lot of unforced errors. Sort of similar to, not as many as the Mannarino and Munar matches in Australia, but certainly it was sort of like a 3-set version of that. He just could not find his form, and obviously pushed Ymer close in the second set, but Ymer played very well in the tie-break, so could be a bit of fatigue post-Australian Open, I think, maybe. You see, there's been sort of a link to that this week, as we'll find out in Montpellier. Monfils obviously went out. He had actually a worse defeat. He lost in under an hour to Elias Ymer's brother, Mikael Ymer.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Yeah, he was getting booed off the court as well. So, not quite that for Karatsev.
Come on. Who boos Monfils? What kind of sick bastard boos Monfils? Come on. Unreal.
Especially after the run he had in Australia. But anyway, yeah, so disappointing for Karatsev, but it could be just fatigue post-Australian Open. I'm actually surprised that he played, being honest.
Let's give Karatsev a break, because he's the hottest, coldest player on the tour. I was going to say a bit more on Ymer. When was it? Elias? I think it was Elias. Yeah, but both of them are quite similar players. I think Elias maybe has the bigger peaks, definitely. So maybe more potential from Elias's game. I actually don't know if I've mixed them up there, to be honest. It was one or the other.
They're both similar. I mean, they both have similar styles when you watch them. I think Mikael's had more experience in the tour. Before this, Elias's best run was at a semi-final in a challenger last summer. So Mikael's had more on-tour experience and made his first tour final last year in Winston-Salem. As well as that, he made the semis in Gstaad as well. So...
he's starting to do stuff. I know he was really good at the Davis Cup as well. I'm sure he got a few good wins there. I'm pretty sure the two of them did.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it was sort of Ymer Saturday. The US Open used to have Super Saturday, but it was Ymer Saturday this week, because it was like they were both playing semi-finals. So
it's cool.
It was good for
it's quite nice to see.
Big up the
heartwarming story.
Big up the ATP 250s for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So a narrative for the 250s to actually latch on to.
Yeah, brilliant.
Musetti.
Yes, so Musetti, again, second seed. I thought this was a good chance for him to win his first title, especially the fact that there was not as many fans, and during the week I thought he might be able to sort of knuckle down, get his head down, but he lost in the quarterfinals to Emil Ruusuvuori. And I thought, just to sort of touch on briefly, he sort of struggled with his emotions on the court, especially towards the end of the third set. Obviously, he was getting frustrated, but it was sort of similar to what we saw sort of in the next gen finals. I thought he was sort of struggling to sort of, he was too outwardly sort of showing his negative emotions. For me, he was getting down, disappointed, shouting and all that. And Ruusuvuori at the other end of the court was just the total opposite, really calm, composed. You couldn't really tell what he was thinking. It was sort of similar to Oji Aliassime, how he doesn't let frustration get to him. So it was like, I think Musetti, he's a very talented player. Obviously, we've not really seen him do it out with the clay courts, to be fair. I think he just needs to develop sort of what's the word? Maybe mentally, just try and not show his emotions as much as his opponent, because especially at the tough moments at the end of that match, he was getting quite down on himself.
Yeah, and I mean, he's the sort of player that's very prone to spikes, definitely, and we have seen that a lot in the past. You know, he can kind of talk himself out of playing a good match. Had a few garbage losses last year. You know, obviously the match against Djokovic was a match of his own. You know, that was physical issues, but certainly after that he kind of spiraled a wee bit, and he had a bunch of matches where he can concentrate the whole match. One in Sofia in particular comes to mind against Bulgarian bloke. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Sorry, terrible. But yeah, if you watched the match, he just looked like he wasn't himself, and I'm sure that sort of thing's still going on for him. So it'll be good to see him collect his head. It was Kuzminov who lost it.
Kuzminov, yeah. I remember doing predictions for that match. I had to Google Kuzminov just because I hadn't seen any of the...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Neither had I at the time.
Need to follow the challenger to him more.
Segue into Ruusuvuori as the man who beat Musetti there. Ruusuvuori is a fantastic player. I've always thought that. Certainly anecdotally, just quickly, he played at the Glasgow Cup, a challenger in our hometown, and my parents had the opportunity to see him live. They said they hadn't seen anybody hit a forehand as big as that sort of in person before.
Yeah, well, I was very impressed with him all week. I think actually watching him earlier in the season in Australia, Sydney in particular, against Rafa, he played. Well, not Sydney. It wasn't Sydney. It was Adelaide, wasn't it? Or was it Melbourne?
Yeah.
Which one?
No, it was Sydney. It was Sydney. Pretty sure. Well, no, it was Melbourne. It was Melbourne.
Yeah,
you're right. It was Melbourne. It was Melbourne.
Yeah.
I know.
It was a broadly very he played a very good match against Rafa, and he beat Alcaraz in Miami last year as well.
Okay, the match recently that obviously should be, for me, is the most kind of, this guy could be the next big thing, was the match against Auger Aliassime. Obviously didn't quite see that out, but he won the most points in the match against the Canadian. He was fantastic. Most of the time it was kind of just the bigger moments that he couldn't deliver, and that was it. And
that's just
he's got the game,
isn't it? That's just what he needs.
Yeah, his forehand is genuinely like one of the biggest on tour. Seriously good. Yeah, it's really, really good. That could take in places, definitely. I don't think we've seen loads of players recently that have a weapon as scary as that, definitely coming up. So
yes,
yeah, it's good stuff.
Absolutely. And obviously in the final, Ruusuvuori was playing Joao Sousa, who a big favourite of mine. Don't know how you rate him, but I think just because he's sort of like that player, it's like he's solid in every single area of his game. He might not have a big weapon, but he's sort of like, you look at him and you think that is a professional tennis player. He's like top 50, solid. Will very rarely have a howler on court until obviously he had.
It always makes people beat him, kind of Batista Agut-esque.
Yeah, sort of Batista, the Portuguese Batista Agut. Yeah.
Yeah, not really. It doesn't play a super steady game at the same time. He still goes for the shots, definitely, but yeah,
he's very solid.
Difficult,
very solid, and he'd been struggling for form over the past couple of years, and yeah.
But obviously that goes to show, his not being in form was being outside the top 100. I mean, the guy had been a member of the top 100 for ages.
He's back up to 86 now, and so that will get him into all the Grand Slams. 4th ATP title as well. Had to save match points against Ymer in the semi-finals. Was very good in the clutch moments. Very, very impressed with his overall high level of play. And he came back from a breakdown against Ruusuvuori today in the final.
Set point in the first set as well.
Yep. So he took.
Set point save.
Yeah, so he sort of battled really hard, especially when there was pressure being put in his serve. I think he got broken something like 3 times in a row, didn't he, in that final, in the second set. So very, very impressed with his level, and hopefully he can sort of have a better run of form now, especially now he's getting into the majors automatically. There'll be less pressure on him to consistently play his best stuff when he doesn't have it.
Definitely. It's the start of his career, isn't it? What, is he only like 34 or something nowadays? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. When he come back, he'll be the new Stan.
Little tidbit from Damien Coust on Twitter. People had accused Joe.
Yes, I saw that tweet.
Yeah, basically had said Joao Sousa hadn't won a title against a strong field. So this title, in fairness, Damien had said the average ranking, I don't know, was around the 60 to 70 mark. It was actually a little bit weaker, but the other 3 definitely were not weak fields.
Was it not Ferrer was in the draw in Valencia, wasn't it, when he won that?
Yeah, he beat Ferrer in Valencia for one, beating all top 50 players in another one of the titles. In Estoril as well, he beat 3 top 50 players. Kuala Lumpur, That was Federer. Yeah, exactly. Point is, I mean, he's beaten top 50 players regularly when he's winning his 250s. So yeah, justice for Joe.
Anyway, we'll move on to the second of the ATP 250 events being played this week in Montpellier, where Alexander Zverev was the top seed, looking to bounce back from his shock Australian Open exit against Denis Shapovalov. And a number of storylines from this week, mainly, as we mentioned before, Gael Monfils had an absolute howler after playing such good tennis in Australia. Just had an absolute shocking day at the office against Mikael Ymer, Elias Ymer's brother. Lost in 57 minutes, I believe. Just could not get going at all.
I'm gonna say mental. I like the hangover he must have sort of experienced after Australia. He was so disappointed. He posted that stuff online saying, one day I want to get a slam. That's still a goal of mine. I think it can happen. Just one. I don't want 20. I just want one in my career, sort of thing. He obviously thought that was a really good chance. Felt really disappointed about it. One thing I will say, so after that loss, so he's posted on Twitter about it, sort of apologising to fans. The fact that he's so much more vocal now towards fans, I think online, he wants to be really open.
He wants to be positive.
Say this is, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think he wants encouragement. He wants people behind him. He's actually wants to win a slam.
Yeah, I think he probably didn't pull out of that event because it was in France. I think he wanted to honour his commitment to playing in his home country. I just think it didn't work for him. In terms of, I think you're right, he probably was a bit hungover from the Australian Open and the disappointment that he'd suffered there. So the next one that I've got is Richard Gasquet. A couple of very good wins for him over Hugo Humbert and Soonwoo Kwon. What was particularly impressive about the Humbert win, don't know if you saw it, but he came back after losing the first set in 85 minutes. Epic first set.
Wow, okay.
Epic first set. Really interesting, actually, because you'd think that the older player might struggle after losing such a tight first set like that. They could just fall away, but it was the opposite for Gasquet. His level really improved. And he was hitting his backhand better. His serve was, he's hitting his spots in the serve. Maybe not necessarily overpowering Humbert with a serve, but we know that Humbert's got to work in his return of serve anyway.
Yes. So I was about to say that. It's like you actually watch Humbert and you're like, I don't understand how this guy actually loses tennis matches. Then you watch him try with him. When you see the stats, you do realise he misses a lot more returns than maybe he should.
He does, yeah. And to be fair, I think he had break points at 5-4 in the second set, Humbert, and he was almost too lackadaisical. He was smiling at his box, in between points. I was like, is he really fully focused? And it might sound harsh, but for me, you don't see likes of Novak or Rafa looking at the box at such a big crucial point in the match and smiling. You know what I mean? You just don't see that. Could just be a lack of discipline, or maybe it makes him feel relaxed, but it didn't work for him anyway. Fair play to Gasquet, and then he backed that one up with a straight sets win over Soonwoo Kwon. No mean feat, considering Kwon won his first ATP title last season, on the up as well. Player that not many people talk about.
Nur Sultan, maybe?
Nur Sultan. Yeah. Not many people talk about Kwon, but he's actually, his level's improved as well. So
his serve's got a lot better.
It has,
he's quite scary from the back of the court at the moment as well.
Yeah, he's playing really well. So Gasquet wasn't able to continue that. He fell in 3 sets to Mikael Ymer in the quarterfinals, but still a very good week from him.
Yeah, I like so you've got Gasquet down. I've got Gav's notes for the podcast today, and he's got Gasquet down, and straight afterwards he's got Mannarino down. It's like the two of them won 2 matches. Honestly, like when either of those players win any matches, it's like it's kind of noteworthy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Mannarino, who we're going to talk about next, he absolutely destroyed Alejandro Tabilo Fokina.
He did.
Him. Like, for Mannarino, it's like
Mannarino's having the year of his life, man.
He must be the most annoying player to play against, though. I think he was listening in commentary. He gets his string strung at like 15 kg, which is ridiculous.
I saw 11 kg.
11 to 15.
It's mad.
Gee,
yeah,
it's mental.
It's crazy. So a normal player is normal pro players are in 22 or so. So
yeah,
I mean the balls fly off the strings. It's mad.
Yeah, it's so loose. He's got to be so disciplined and with his backswing and control the ball and time it perfectly. So it doesn't get enough credit.
It's all, the timing is insane. It really is.
So on you go.
I was going to say you should watch a video of him like from court level because the amount of height he puts over the net is just like, it's literally about 10 centimetres or something, like on the backhand side in particular. It's just crazy stuff.
Yeah, so that was a very good week for him. He beat Alejandro Davidovich Fokina and David Goffin in straight sets. David Goffin had a bit of a mare, to be fair, an absolute nightmare. But fair play to Mannarino. Okay, we won't talk about his quarterfinal as much because he did only win one game against Zverev. 11-1, bit of a hiding.
It happens with a guy like Mannarino, you know what I mean? If you can hit the ball hard enough in the day, then fair enough.
You can get totally overpowered, can't you? That's the problem. So now we're going to talk about the finalists. Zverev had a pretty dominant route through the final. Didn't really have any problems. Bublik, on the other hand, fought his way to the final by beating Bautista Agut in a final set tie-break. That was one of his main impressive wins. With Bublik, I always feel he's had the talent, but he's just mentally, he's not focused fully on tennis, I feel. You see the underarm serves.
Of course,
You see him sort of interacting with the crowd. Sort of similar to Kyrgios, but not as bad as Kyrgios.
Works for some players,
It does, and it's good to see him winning a title. I just hope he continues to sort of put the effort and mentality and focus that he had this week into the rest of the season. We talk about the final itself. Bublik served very well, first of all, but also it sort of exposed where Zverev was sort of struggling to deal with the Bublik drop shot. You know, Zverev was playing from far behind the baseline. Bublik would often just play a drop shot, bring him forward, and then sort of either pass him or lob him, and it was becoming quite an issue, especially in the second set. So, yeah, Bublik sort of exposed Zverev's lack of variety or lack of being able to cope with sort of a tactical change, which I thought was very impressive.
He's still not mega comfortable in the net.
He's not. But he was sort of being, you could tell he was sort of being rushed in. You know, he sort of like, he wasn't expecting Bublik to play the drop shot. He wasn't expecting him to sort of bring him into the net. Hit quite a few passing shots against him as well. So it was sort of like exposed to sort of net play / general tactical awareness. I think those comments that Zverev said about there being a new big three in tennis is sort of coming back to haunt him a wee bit.
Yeah,
well, not a wee bit, massively, really. I must
Yeah.
admit, when he said that, I sort of put my head in my hands, thinking, don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure.
I know.
There's certainly enough pressure on you, as much as there is, you know, at the moment.
He's not winning himself any fans saying that.
He's not. But he didn't have many fans to begin with anyway. Let's be honest with the whole allegations thing. He's losing fans if that's possible for him. So on to Cordoba now. I must admit, this is the one event. It seems to be a nightmare to follow because they don't stream any matches. It's on at bad time in the evening as well to watch them. But I've seen some highlights. First of all, we're going to talk about Alejandro Tabilo. Now, the final's still to be played. In fact, the final's just about to start, I think. Yeah. He's in the final. And he beat Diego Schwartzman en route to the final yesterday in the semi-finals. So he came through.
What do we think? What do we think for a quick prediction before we dive into anything else?
Well, you got youth versus experience, haven't you? It's sort of similar to the Alcaraz Ramos Vinolas Mag final of last year. I think I'm going for Tabilo.
Okay. Well, I'm going for Ramos Vinolas. That's fine. I'll go for Ramos Vinolas.
The funny thing is, in my notes, I've just put Albert Ramos Vinolas underrated on clay, and yet I'm underrated.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give him straight sets, definitely. I just think not quite ready. You know, it's first final and stuff. But I mean, let's talk about why he's such a good player, and then we can pitch that case as well.
Yeah, well, I'm just very impressed with his ability to deal with the crowd yesterday against Diego Schwartzman, number one seed, favourite for winning the title. Obviously, crowd favourite as well because he's from Argentina, home favourite. But no, I'm very impressed with Tabilo's forehand in particular, serving forehand. I think he's very, very effective player, especially in the clay.
Big server as well.
Got a big serve, he does have a big serve.
Yeah, he's a big guy, like 6'1" or so.
Yeah, he's got a solid serve,
maybe.
But I think his ability to deal with the pressure yesterday was very impressive for such a young age. I think he will be top 50 by the end of the season. That's my prediction. I think he'll have a good clay court season. Don't know what you think. Might be a bit bold, but
no. He's got a lot of parts that just need to get a bit better. Definitely, like he's got potential, if that makes sense. Like he's got a big enough game. Definitely, maybe top 50 is a bit too much to ask at this point because I've not seen any results off the clay yet that have amazed me. He's still a good player. He's got the talent.
I think he's got the potential for top 50. Whether he does that, it's difficult. I mean, it does depend on these ATP 250s. When you are ranked low, you're going to get some bad draws now and again, aren't you? So it might not be a quick rise. It might be a sort of.
I think for a player like Tabilo, the golden swing will be very important. Obviously,
he's going to pick up a lot of ranking.
This is the start. This is the start of the golden swing, I guess. Isn't it actually?
Yep.
So I think he could do really well definitely over the next few tournaments, Buenos Aires, Rio, and stuff like that. 100%.
Yep.
And he's got potential for sure. And that win against Schwartzman, definitely a really good one. I would say facing Ramos Vinolas, obviously, as you have said here, underrated on clay. The guy does tend to beat players lower ranked than him, I think, and not really beating any players higher ranked than him. The only one I can think of is when he beat Andy in Monte Carlo. That was an absolute shit show. I think Andy was like 4-love up in the last.
He was,
finals
yeah.
there or
He
something
came back
like
very
that.
well.
Yeah, that was a stupid match. So ignore that one.
I think Ramos Vinolas, he's very good at you're right, sort of beating players that are below him and round about his level. Yeah. And he's a very solid player. I mean, he made the final in Mag last year, for example, so he's regularly at the clay court events at your clay court 250s that he plays, and he very rarely has a poor run of results. You know what I mean? He's always. So he had a good win this week over Lorenzo Sonego as well. Straight sets win 7-6, 7-5. Sonego obviously being an accomplished clay court player, made the semi-finals in Rome, and he won the title in Sardinia last year as well, singles and doubles. So
yeah. I think my summary of Ramos Vinolas is he's probably been ranked 44 in the world. For like 5 years.
Sort of similar to Joao Sousa, isn't he? Like, except without the dip in form, he's sort of similar in terms
exactly.
You know what he's going to get.
Honestly, it's just like another 250 final for Ramos Vinolas to solidify that number 44 ranking. He's just
he's had his peak run.
He'll just be there forever, honestly. He's a good player, obviously, but I also think for Tabilo, left-handed, so maybe that gets sort of underpowered a bit against a fellow lefty in the final.
Maybe, yeah, that's a good point actually. But I think with Tabilo, I'm just going for because I think if you beat the number one seed in the semis, okay, some people say it's difficult to back it up, but I think on the contrary, it gives you confidence. You know, massive amount of confidence that you can do it against that caliber player. So that's why I'm being bold. I'm going for Tabilo. Whether that's going to manifest itself or not, probably won't, knowing my luck with predictions. But anyway, other talking points. Cristian Garin lost in the opening round to Sebastian Baez comfortably in the end, even though he took the first set. He lost the last two sets 6-1, 6-1.
Double breadstick, and
he's sort of usually one of these players that takes advantage of the golden swing as well.
He's definitely, that'd be the Pete Garin time.
It's
definitely
Pete Garin time. It sounds harsh to say that Cristian Garin's come out of hibernation, but
I think that's fair enough. I think that's fair enough.
He made the fourth round of Wimbledon last year.
Fucking hell, did he? I completely forgot that. Did he lose to Medvedev? Novak. Oh yeah, yes, they did.
Typical 4-3 and 4, I think. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Fine.
That was very harsh on Cristian Garin. He won't be coming in this podcast now.
It's kind of fair enough. I don't know. Baez, obviously, I mean, another one of those guys we could lump into the same sort of category as Tabilo, probably the sort of name you're going to see in the top 100 for years to come. Definitely.
Played very well
Baez
as well.
Completely different player, though. Obviously, a lot very the similarity. I'm sure we've talked about it in the past in this podcast, but the similarities to Schwartzman are fair enough. Like same sort of height, same sort of rally temperament. Not as big ground strokes for sure at this point in his career, but definitely potential to get bigger and bigger. So could be dangerous. Definitely.
Speaking of hibernation, that comes quite well into my next point of Juan Ignacio Londero, who is he was given a wild card into the draw this week. He was the inaugural winner of the event in Cordoba, and he reached he reached the semi-finals this week. Obviously lost to Ramos Vinolas, but still very good performance considering he wasn't in that good a form. On the plus side, he did reach the fourth round of Roland Garros in 2019, so he can play in clay, so we shouldn't be that surprised, but it is a surprise because he's not been in form. Good to see him doing well. Justified his wild card, certainly. We're going to finish with sort of two opening round defeats. The first one maybe not so surprising, Benoit Paire, because it's Benoit Paire. I think that's enough said there. I'm talking about being polite, I've just totally put the boot in, but it is Benoit Paire. I think listeners will probably think, Benoit Paire. He can be good, he can be bad, he can be shocking, he can be great. That's Benoit Paire. It's like a box of chocolates, you don't know what you're going to get. And sort of another one to sort of justify my point about why I thought Gasquet might sort of lose his match after dropping that 85-minute opening set. Verdasco lost in the opening round to Baez, and the first set there was like 90 minutes. Like 7-6, 6-1.
Really? 90 minutes?
Something like that, yeah. It was Pete Verdasco.
Jeez, love it. I love to see Pete Verdasco, one of my favourite players to watch.
I'll rephrase that. It was Pete Verdasco for 90 minutes, then it sort of dropped off a cliff, but,
Verdasco, so in the group of players that everybody loves, Monfils, Delpo, Verdasco. Who doesn't love Verdasco?
Especially the way he told Kokkinakis' coach to pretty much shut up during Miami. Don't know if you remember that.
I've not seen that. Oh no, I have. I absolutely know what you mean. Yeah, he was raging.
Great, yeah. Of course, Andy fans will like him because Andy came back to set Slav down against him at Wimbledon in 2013 in the quarters. So
he's quite nice to Andy as well. He quite likes Andy, so he obviously hasn't held a grudge for that match. Yes, I forgot about that. Maybe that's secretly why I love him.
It probably is secretly why I love him. So
yeah,
that sums up this week's action. But we've got a couple of things to get through before we finish. First of all, the week ahead, we've got Rotterdam, ATP 500 event. Andy Murray's playing in that, been given a wild card. Top seed is Stefanos Tsitsipas. We've got Buenos Aires, which is sort of Del Potro's swan song, as it were, or we hope it's not a swan song, but it looks like it will be a swan song. And St. Petersburg, which is the main women's event. WTA Tour returns again this week. So that's what we've got to look forward to. Before we finish, we'll do an Andy Murray reaction to his announcement that he's going to prioritise Wimbledon over Roland Garros and he's not going to play Roland Garros. First of all, did you expect that?
Not at all. No, not at all. I don't know. I think part of the staple of Andy's comeback in general is just like dogged stubbornness. So things that don't make sense, he just does anyway. So I kind of thought, fuck it, play clay. You know what? Just losing every first round.
I'm just happy he didn't take the Roger Federer approach of I'll do a week in Paris. It was almost like a holiday. I'll play that tournament in Paris and I'll just bug it off.
Still, I think smart move from Andy. Definitely a smart
move. I think for his career, to preserve his career, I know I've been quite negative about this in terms of I think he should focus on doubles, but I think if he wants to play singles,
this is a nice compromise, Gav.
It is. Definitely. It is. It's smart tennis. It's a smart move for his career. I think he needs to be in the frame of mind that he needs to finish off points quicker now. That's not going to happen in clay. That's just not going to happen. So,
definitely not. And every single time clay gets mentioned and Andy in the same sentence, I just think back to that stand match in the French Open in 2020.
What you were going to say, Monte Carlo 2013, where Stan blew him off the court.
No. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Andy can play, at the top of his form when clay can get completely destroyed. So what they think about that match at the French Open, that was absolutely disastrous. So I'm sort of a Stan fanboy, so I'll sort of happy to see Stan do well, but yeah. So for his career, to preserve his career, I think that's a smart decision. Obviously he's working again with Dani Valverdu.
So that'll be good to see how that turns out.
Danny's had a bit of experience, to be fair himself. I think it could be a more fruitful partnership than the first time. He's been with Stan as well.
He's still working with Stan, still helping Stan out.
Oh yeah, still working with Stan.
Yeah, Stan hitting back in the court this week for the first time in a while, hitting some backhands, which is always good to see. But what is it about these tournament press conferences, pre-tournament press conferences, just to drop a couple of bombshells? You had the Del Potro one, and you sort of had Murray today. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, wow.
Need to keep an eye on that.
It's going to be a busy week as well. Actually, all of these stories to
will you be staying up for Delpo? That's the question.
I'll stay up for Delpo.
I'll stay up for Delpo. Should have like a Delpo watch party.
Definitely.
Sure. Definitely be down for that. Probably won't be in Prime, but I'd buy a tennis TV subscription, not a prescription.
Fair enough.
That,
exactly, yeah. Tennis is quite a nice prescription.
Watch Del Potro
for some illnesses.
Watch the Del Bonus ball toss. You'll be needing another prescription, but that'll be good. So anyway, that's just about all I think that's happened this week. Thank you very much for listening. You can find Jack's stuff on jackedward.substack, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah, some very good analysis in there. Analysis that would make Mark Petrie cry happy tears. And you can find my stuff on Last Word on Tennis if you want to put yourself to that is. I'm doing some predictions in Rotterdam, so you can leave a comment slagging me or agreeing with me or just leave a philosophical comment if you want, whatever. And thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Okay.